My name is Sean McCoy. I'm being held hostage in Chris McDowell's basement.
No, not that one. Not that one. If you were in my basement, this would be a hell of a lot easier.
Sean McCoy. I'm co-founder of Percent Game, designer of Mothership. I'm glad to play. I'm glad to be here.
So hopefully you should be able to hear Sean now. And Alan, if you could just give us a quick reminder who you are.
I'm Alan Girding, co-creator of Tuesday Night Games, part of the, what did you call us? It was awesome. Two-Night Crew. Two-Night Crew. Yeah, we did Two Rooms and a Boom. That's Not Lemonade. World Championship Russian Roulette. Whole bunch of other games. Tuesday Night Podcast. All that jazz. Mothership. And a lot of other stuff coming down the pipeline on Kickstarter. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited for Bastionland. Whew, I'm a huge fanboy. I thought we were all getting dressed up, but apparently I just in my mind.
I need to, if I can get the technology working, the next time I will bring a hat. I assure you.
All right.
So we're running slightly behind, but I think we should try and get character creation done at least, and then we will see how we get on. I'm not sure whether people can hear you two. You certainly should be able to. So let's do let's move on to character creation and see what happens and see whether this works. Okay.
That sounds great.
I'm slightly underprepared for this because, as you can tell, I've spent a lot of my energy today trying to get this technology to work. But for those unfamiliar, Electric Bastionland. Let me switch over to another view where we can actually see what I'm seeing. Oh, nice. 2 physical copies. And
hell yeah.
The general idea is that you are both going to be £10,000 in debt to somebody, and you've got that debt. But the good news is you have a failed career, which will give you some advantages, maybe some equipment, maybe something a little bit special. So the normal way that we would do this is we would just roll up ability scores down the line, and then your ability scores tell you what your failed career is. But we're going to do a little bit of a twist. But to start with, if you can roll 3d6 for your strength, dex, and charisma, that'll get us started. And I'm trusting you two to keep your own character sheets. There's no fancy virtual character sheets here. And then what you're also going to do, once you've got your strength, dexterity, and charisma, you're going to roll d6 for your HP, and you're going to roll d6 for how many pounds you start with in your pocket. £1 will get you a very poor sandwich. £6 will get you a very good sandwich.
Ooh.
I'm
3 stats.
Middling.
So strength, dexterity, and charisma, yes?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then a 1d6 for how much coin I have, right? How wealthy I am?
That's it.
Ooh, 5. Would
Yeah,
you like to hear my stats?
Together we can almost get a nice sandwich.
Oof. So I'll tell you what, we'll do Sean first because Sean's first on my my feed here.
And your heart, you can say it. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's true for almost everybody.
Yeah,
I'm used to it.
I'm only human. So Sean, what have your ability scores? What have you got?
On a scale of 1 to 20, my strength is about a 13.
Yeah.
My dexterity is an 8, and my charisma is a 10.
Yeah.
I am very average.
So you've got a high score of 13. Oh, yeah, sorry, go on. Tell me your HP and your pounds as well.
My hit protection is 4, and I have 5 new pounds.
Ah, okay.
Old new pounds.
So 13 is your highest ability score.
Mm-hmm.
And your lowest is, what, 8?
8.
So if you go to fail career number 40...
Flipping.
You actually have a choice of 2.
I do. Oh, man.
Or what you can do...
Is that one of the urchins? I'm just going off of memory.
Yeah. So
is one of them
an
urchin? I'm trying to remember. I was just trying to show off that I actually remember some of the numbers associated, but I probably am wrong. But anyways, go on. So sorry.
Well, the twist I was going to give you was if you if you don't like either of these, you can roll a D100 instead, and you can take whichever failed career your D100 gives you.
No, I think one of these is actually one of my favorites, is the Expelled Lamplighter.
Yeah, you really like all the ones that I didn't write, don't you?
Yes, particularly the ones that Zachary wrote.
So we have an Expelled Lamplighter. So if you can work out what you get from there, we'll come back to you.
Sure.
And Alan, so who are you, Alan? What are your ability scores?
My strength is 9. My dexterity is 9. My charisma, the highest of the stats, is 11.
Oh, wow.
My hit points, 1 health points.
Oh.
And I rolled a 5 for my currency.
Okay. So, again, you've got high score of 11, low score of 9, is that right?
Correct, sir.
So that will give you failed career number 22. But if you don't like it, you can re-roll it. So let's find number 22.
On it. The Unrevolutionary.
So yeah, you can keep this one, or if you want, you can roll a D100 and get something random.
Just for prosperity, I'm gonna go ahead and roll D100, and I rolled a 1.
Oh
wow!
Oh wow! Well, we all know what that is.
Number 1. Looking it up.
So the people on the feed can see what number 1 is.
Oh, they can? You brought it up already?
Yeah, so we've got the book just above us on the feed. So the Gutterminder. You are the bottom of the barrel. Bastion's crust.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
That's definitely me.
And so what let's go back to Sean for a second then. So Sean, what did you get from your ability scores? From your failed career, sorry.
I have a knife, a wick on a 10-foot pole, very, very important for a lamplighter.
Yeah.
A pair of felted slippers.
Oh.
Now, I broke a tenet of the Lanterner's Code, which was that the creatures of the dark are not my enemy. I think that's what I did.
So you broke the code, so you made an enemy of the creature of the dark.
That's right. I made an enemy of the creature of the dark, which granted me a 2-handed axe. That's ominous. And the other tool of my trade I have, and I love this, I have a small fire spirit in a jar.
Oh.
Little fire spirit friend.
Nice.
I'm going to go with one of the names from the book. I'm Teddy.
Teddy. That's good. That's easy for me to remember.
I'm also, don't want to brag, but the youngest player in the whole group.
Well,
so,
we are... Yeah, so that is going to be important. So,
right, we'll
who do you owe... We'll do that now. So, who is the debt holder? So, who do you both owe £10,000 to?
Javbon, the prosthetist. I had a pretty bad accident, maybe with a 2-handed axe, but Javbon sorted you out with some replacement. Unless you could pay up. He'll be back for his limbs. I have replacement. Maybe we both do.
Yeah. So it generally affects both of you. So let me just find it on here. So we'll come back to that then. But yeah, you're both going to have some sort of prosthetic. So I'll let you choose what that is. But Alan, who are you?
Yes. I'm a gutter minder.
And what did you get?
Well, I get a stick hook, which is bulky, takes 2 hands, and rags. Also, I am a former high society member. So I was very wealthy at one point. Unfortunately, the mob came after us, and I was the only survivor after this mob uprising.
Oof.
Yeah. Maybe I lost a finger, and that's why I owe some money to the prosthetist as well.
Yeah.
But what am I hiding under my rags? Only a wish tonic. And if you're unfamiliar with the wish tonic, it gives me 3 measures of liqueur that each grant a wish. However, the wish only lasts as long as my buzz from the liquor.
Which is D6 turns.
Yes.
So yeah, it's good to have 3 wishes at character creation. I feel like that's always a good thing to have.
Yes. Oh, and for my name, I'll do what Sean did. I'll use one of the sample names, and I'll be Cork.
Teddy and Cork, I love it.
Teddy and Cork. Let's do it. So I'm going to change your names to Teddy and Cork. If this doesn't crash the entire stream, it will be a miracle. I don't know why I'm putting myself through this.
We need to get you one of those choo-choo train whistles.
Man, I had one of those for years.
Teddy and Cork. There you go. You can have some. Your names are now poorly aligned at the bottom of the screen, but you are now Teddy and Cork. Let's align it. This is the turning point now. It's all been amateur hour up until this point, but from now on,
alignment.
This is going to be
Game has alignment.
The professional. There is no alignment in this game, dead or alive. The two alignments.
That's good.
So, let's jump over to the other view. So, I'm not going to be showing you guys maps or anything like that. We're going to be operating on the whole sort of theatre of the mind type thing. And I'm trusting you to roll your own dice, keep track of your own HP. The main thing you need to know is if you take damage, it's going to come off your HP first of all. If you land on exactly 0 HP, you're going to get a scar, which could be okay or it could be bad. And if you get a if you go below 0, yeah, so that's going to be coming off your strength instead, and then we'll deal with that as it happens. I'm just sorting out some issues with the framing of you. I mean, it's not going to matter too much, is it? Here, we're rolling with it. We're rolling with it.
Let's do it live.
Yeah, we're doing it live. We can see your faces, and that's the main thing, and we can hear you, hopefully. So, as I said, you both share a £10,000 debt between you. Ooh. So it could be that you knew each other and you came into this debt together, or this is Bastion. So sometimes you just get a letter saying that you are sharing a debt with somebody you've never met before, and for whatever reason, your career prospects weren't good. You only had a failed career, so you decided to take on a riskier life of being a treasure hunter. However, fortunately for you, not long after you received notice of this debt, you were given a lead on a way that you could potentially pay it off, and that is you actually inherited. You didn't inherit a building, but you inherited looting rights to a condemned property.
Wow! So
all that you know about it is that it's called the Droner House, and it is in New Handoff is the borough that it's in, and you've basically inherited like first dibs on all the stuff that's in this house before it gets demolished. So you have 3 days.
Is this a thing you can really have legally
in Bastion? Yeah. Well,
okay.
Somebody probably disputes it, but you've got a letter with like a header on it and everything. It's like headed paper, so it must be legit. It's from the New Handoff Borough Council, and yeah, you are, for some reason, you're next in line to have looting rights to this property. So if you can get in there and sort of get enough stuff that's worth £10,000, then you can pay off your debt and you can put all this horrible business behind you.
Alan, let's go see Javbon and use one of your wishes.
What are you suggesting here?
Getting rid of our debt and getting him to sign paper that we owe him nothing, and then leaving and completely ignoring everything that Chris has set up for us.
Well, don't forget what happens to your wish tonic when you use it.
Yeah, that's true.
It wears off.
Yeah.
So that debt may turn into a bounty if we're not careful.
Exactly.
But I like your thinking. You're thinking outside of the box. It's that kind of thinking that led me to my former high society life. So keep it up. But maybe there's something that's even greater of value than the amount that we owe at the Drona House. I mean, so I say we check it out.
There's almost certainly more than £10,000 worth of stuff in this house. The only issue would be if there was something weird about the house, or something happened. But the chances of that happening are pretty slim, I would say. So I'm assuming that you have decided to head over to the house to take a look at it.
Let's head over to handoff.
Do it, Team TC, Teddy and Corky.
So do you guys know each other already, or?
We do because we were connected through the debt, and it just so happened that I had seen him in my slum streets trying to do his whatever chimney sweep things. I don't know. I new to the whole idea of this plebeian lifestyle, but I recognize him.
I like how you speak with such authority while you're dressed in your rags and clutching your stick.
Let me tell you, this hat used to be all of the rage, and it'll come back around. I just gotta, once I get my debt paid off, I can get a new hat, this one all fixed up. It'll be fantastic.
So you have approached, you've headed to New Handoff, the borough. You decided not to bother with some of the things outside the house because there were some technical difficulties in you getting here, and you're running about half an hour late. So you thought, let's just go straight to the house.
Time for it.
Yeah, you thought, let's go to the house. I mean, it just makes sense. So the house that you see, it's a pretty sort of, you're sort of stood at the bottom of this, the borough itself is a relatively typical borough of Bastion. So there's some factories around and some residential buildings, and then there's a big blur in the middle where some of the buildings kind of mashed together. But this house sort of stands on like a hill at the top of the borough, so it's a very prominent kind of landmark, and it's surrounded by like sort of wrought iron fence, fencing around the outside, and most of that fence is also covered in like a very well kept hedge, and what you can just about make out from what you can see of the house, there's no lights on as far as you can see. But there is a lot of black smoke coming out of the chimney in this house.
Wow.
And it's a very grand house. It's probably like a three-story house, bordering on a mansion, really. It's like a big, wealthy house. But yeah, there's this wrought iron gate all around, wrought iron fence all around the outside and a gate at the front.
Teddy, it looks like we might have squatters in our looting rights.
Cork, I was thinking the same thing.
Well, I've got my stick hook here. Let's go take care of some business and make sure that they're not getting in on any of our looting rights.
So you get to the gate and it's chained up. You were given a key to the house, sort of in the letter that you received, but you weren't given a key to the gates. So the gate's kind of chained up. So what are you going to do?
Oh, man. How tall is this gate?
It's about 10 feet tall.
10 feet tall. Man, that's a lot. And I've got a wooden leg.
Yeah, you could probably climb over it without too much trouble, I would have thought.
Cork, do you want to give me a hand here and, launch me the top, and then I'll hoist you over?
Yeah, I also have this long stick hook, so you can use that. Maybe hook it at the top of the gate. Use that to support you as you're pulling on my...
Wait. Didn't you have a jug of wishes?
Yeah, I'm not wasting them. I've got an entire life ahead of me. You got to get over what I have and worry about what you have, sir. So let's, I'll help you up.
Okay.
Yeah, so you kind of heft him over, and then are you sort of helping Cork over after you?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, you sort of reach down, heft him up. So you're both now on like the gravel driveway that's leading up to the house. And whereas before, like I say, there were no lights on in the house, you now notice there is a dim light coming from inside the house.
What floor?
It's on the ground floor, actually, in the what looks like the room immediately next to the sort of the front door. So there's a very obvious main door of the house. And actually, now that you're over the fence, you can see that there's some quite extensive grounds around the house. So off to the right side of the house, as you look at it, you can see there's like a conservatory that's attached to the house. And sort of beyond that, there's what looks like maybe a hedge maze. And then in terms of to the left, there's a little pathway that leads around the house to the left, but you can't see where that goes to from here. Or there is just the big main front door to the house.
Well, we have first dibs to be here, right? There's no reason to skulk around in the darkness like common thieves.
You're absolutely...
Calm down, Teddy. I think we should at least take a preemptive look through the window best we can to see what we're dealing with. Hopefully it's just one person that's really weak that we have no problem getting them out of there.
Mm-hmm. Killing them. Yep, with a knife.
I didn't say that, but
So you're going to look through the window?
Yes, but before I do, I want to make sure as we approach the window that there isn't any rusty accoutrements laying strewn across the yard. Because I remember when I had a gardener at my estate, the Cork estate, sometimes Simon would leave his gear all over the place and it would become a hazard. You can't trust those hired helps. So that's what I call them, hired helps.
There's no tools scattered around that you can see. There are. You sort of look over towards where the sort of the conservatory is, and you can see there are some things on the ground over there that look like they might be some gardening tools, but nothing around here by the front door.
But nothing suspicious looking, so we can peer in that window closer to get a closer look.
Yeah, so you get closer. You get closer to the window, and like I say, there's a faint light coming from within. The window is actually kind of frosted up. It's like duskish time. Oh, is Teddy? You put your hands on the glass there.
Uh-oh.
Well,
Yes.
I mean, you do that, and it's almost like ice cold to the touch.
Ooh.
And it's a relatively mild evening outside tonight. So, but there's the glass itself to touch it. It's like touching ice essentially, and it's sort of frosted over, so you can't quite see much through the window.
Cork, use one of your wishes to make my hands not so cold.
You got it. All right.
So we can't
this
see
is
anything.
Curious. Yeah, it's cold to the touch.
Frosted over.
You know what? Why don't we do a lap and make sure that maybe we can get in through the back door and get a little element of surprise. What do you say, Teddy?
I'm always down to surprise.
So which way are you going? Are you going sort of right towards the conservatory and the hedge maze, or left along the sort of the path that leads around the house?
Definitely staying away from the hedge maze.
Left to the path. Yeah.
Yeah, so you follow the path around the house. It's like a nice little gravel footpath. Some nice flower beds along the outside. And as you sort of get about a quarter of the way around the house, you see that the grounds stretch out behind the back of the house, and there's actually a lake on the property. And the path leads down to the lake. And there's a little island in the middle of the lake with a little lake house on it. And there is some light coming from there as well. It looks like someone's got a light on in there, potentially.
What's up with all these people here?
And in terms of a back door, you find there is a back door. It's a much smaller door as you'd expect. And there's no sign of any lights or anything coming from around there.
Do you want to go to the lake house?
It is part of the property. We do have rights to it. And we have a piece of paper to say so. But I don't want to get that piece of paper wet in the lake. So only if we can get to that island. Well, what?
Is there a boat around?
So there is. Yeah, there's a little boat, a little sort of two-person rowing boat that's sort of docked up on the shore of the lake, and as you get closer, it actually looks like somebody is sat in the boat, facing away from you. You can just sort of see their outline from this distance.
Oi, oi!
Daddy, no! What? Are you
we have
getting
dibs.
their attention?
That boat belongs
We do have
to us.
dibs.
You shout oi oi, and that doesn't seem to get their attention. But Teddy, can you roll the d6 for me, please?
Absolutely, I can. 5.
So yeah, whoever is there, if indeed it is anybody, they don't respond to your call.
You know what? Maybe the person at the boat can sense your low class bloodline. So let me try. Oi, oi!
You're going to get closer?
And a little bit louder, but not too close. Just like 2 steps in front of Teddy. Oi, oi!
Give me a D6 roll.
2.
So you sort of see the figure lean down into the boat and lift something up, and they pick up what looks like a gun. And as they stand up, you can see they look like a very sort of gaunt, spindly figure, and they've got this kind of like almost like chainmail hanging down from them, like loose chains covering their entire body. And it turns towards you, and it's too dark to make out any features, but it kind of rigidly steps off the boat onto the land, and you see it sort of raising this gun towards you. What do you do?
Cork, this looks like one of those river messengers of death you hear so much about in the stories.
I don't think I've heard the same stories you have. And here's the thing. We got first dibs. That gun's ours. We should have him hand over that gun.
And he's out of the boat. Let's get the boat, too.
Yeah,
let's bum rush him.
You trying to get to him?
You go first. I'm right behind you. In fact, what I'd like to do is, Teddy, you go into the charge, and I'll put my hands behind your back to help give you some more speed and kind of stay ducked behind you as we rush towards him. Let's do this together.
So you're gonna rush like together, like one behind the other?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the one is behind, the other is in front.
Well, Teddy, you can give me a dexterity roll to see if you can get close to him before he shoots you.
Okay, now that is rolling a d20 and trying to roll under my
dex?
Yes,
equal or under your dexterity.
Right. Okay, I rolled a natural 20.
Beautiful, which is great for me.
Let's just get everything off on the right foot.
So you sort of stumble slightly on the grass. It's like there's a little bit of moisture on the grass, and maybe it's a little bit slippy. And while you're sort of getting into your formation together, the thing you sort of hear and something flies out of this gun and sort of flies towards you. And what would 4 damage do to you, Teddy?
4 damage would take me exactly to 0.
Oh, right, okay. So that will give you a scar. Let's see what that is, and then I'll tell you how that's gonna make things interesting for you. So a scar means you're still up and you're still fighting. Oh God, right. So your scar that you have is smashed mouth. So what happens is you're turning and you're talking to Cork as this thing sort of flies at you, and you would later realize it's a harpoon, and it sort of like goes through your mouth and just like smashes out some of your teeth, and your teeth sort of fly across this lawn, and you just like mouth is covered in blood, and yeah, so Cork, you get a nice bit of blood spat on you as well, and this thing is now reloading. You see it sort of reaching down, pulling out another one of these harpoons and loading it into the gun. What do you do?
Teddy, you idiot, you've been shot. Stick with the plan. Stick with the plan.
He hasn't seen our paper.
So you're now close enough, if you wanted to like attack it, you could.
Yeah, I want to take my two-handed axe and take a real swing at this guy. I kind of want to bonk him on the head with the butt of the axe.
Okay, so before you roll, if you're going to both attack, then you sort of both roll together. So, Cork, are you going to join in the attack, or are you just going to leave Teddy to it?
Absolutely, yeah.
So, give me... Well, you can roll whatever your weapon's damage die is. If you can roll that together.
6!
3.
Out of 6.
So, we take the single highest result, but you both contribute in the fiction. So, Teddy, perhaps your swing just sort of gets deflected slightly, allowing Cork to sort of come in with his stick hook. So you said 6 damage, is that right?
High and low.
Correct.
Interesting. Oh.
You know, Chris said we had a choice of a spooky or silly adventure, and we said silly, and I think we're in the spooky one.
So as you sort of put the hook into this thing, you see it does look like a man, like quite a tall, skinny man, but you're sort of your hook goes into its side, and as you kind of rip it out where you'd expect sort of blood to come pouring out, just this kind of like orange dust just kind of comes out, and you see it kind of like continue to sort of limp along. It's clearly hurt, but it is still up and fighting, and now that it's close to you, it's just going to grab one of the harpoons and try and sort of thrust it towards Cork with both hands. So Cork, you will take 1 point of damage.
I'm at 0.
Oh, you're on exactly 0.
Yes.
So that's another scar for you. So you need to roll a d6.
4.
So 4 is your chest. So you sort of just about managed to stop this harpoon. Just as it sort of just barely goes into your chest enough to draw a little bit of blood, and it just kind of scrapes up towards your throat, and then you push it away. The good news is this battle scar is going to be so cool that you're going to feel a lot more confident. So you can re-roll your maximum HP as a result.
Ooh.
On D6. 6. Wow.
Well done.
So you now have 6 HP as a result of this awakening that you've had. But you won't have it for now. You're still on 0 HP.
Got it.
So you're both on 0. This thing is looking pretty battered. What do you do?
How close is the boat?
You're right next to the boat.
And it's looking battered?
Yeah, you could. There's a good chance that you could take it down with another attack, but it's not a definite. But there's a good chance.
I want to go for it. I want to split this thing open.
Yeah, cool. I've got the bloodlust.
Cool.
Or the bone lust.
You can both roll.
Orange dust lust.
Yeah, I got the orange dust lust.
8.
Oof.
8.
5 out of 6.
Oof. So, yeah, between the two of you, Cork, you sort of like, in your battle rage, with your new scar, you kind of perhaps stun it long enough that Teddy's able to get his axe and just kind of split this thing down the center of its head. But rather than getting a kind of nice gory brain explosion, like I say, it almost like crumbles to like embers, weirdly, like it's slightly glowing almost. And sort of as it crumbles, like the rest of its body kind of sort of collapses in on itself almost. All that's left in the sort of pile is a few little scraps of kind of rusty chain and a very rusty harpoon gun. And one harpoon left.
That's interesting.
You want dibs on the harpoon gun, or should I take it?
Why don't you take it? Because I want to... Are these embers warm at all?
So, before you investigate that, I'll just let you know that the harpoon gun does D8 damage, but it is bulky.
Oh, crap. I can't keep that and my stick hook.
No, you're fine. You can carry 2 bulky things, no problem. Because it's assumed that you've got like 1 on your back and 1 in your hands. But that means now if you carry 3 or more, then it's bad. So don't do that. And also the way that resting works in Bastionland is a rest is just long enough to like catch your breath. So now that you've had a little minute, you can restore your HP to its maximum. And nobody lost any strength, did they?
No.
Just HP.
No.
Cool. So so you're back to full fitness. And yeah, the embers, how are you going to are you just going to put your hand nearby to them?
Yeah. I mean, they're glowing, like I can visualize.
Yeah, very faintly glowing, like the last embers of a fire.
I have this small fire spirit in a jar. His name is Book. And I don't know if he speaks at all, or if he communicates, but I was going to ask it, if it does speak, if he can tell me anything about the fire embers or this creature, if this creature seems familiar to him at all, or what have we gotten ourselves into here?
I reckon you would have a way to communicate with it. It's up to you whether it speaks or whether you just have some kind of like little link to it. So you're just going to kind of put it next to it, put it nearby to it, and get it to kind of have a look.
I think it's got like a little...
Yeah, so it does seem kind of, assuming that this fire spirit is like attracted to fire, it seems like it sort of almost wants to reach out of the jar and touch it. So it seems like it's drawn towards the fire. Yeah, but the embers have pretty much faded now.
Okay.
Okay, so what's the plan? You're going to proceed on the boat? Yeah. So you're going to get in the boat and head on over to the lake house.
Mm-hmm. Our rowing chant will be dibs. Dims. 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 Dims.
Dims.
Which of you is feeling lucky?
Definitely Cork is, because of his newfound HP.
Cork, you can roll a d6 while you're paddling over this river. 4. So it's a nice, pleasant rowboat journey. Like I said, the sun's basically gone down now. It's well into the evening, and as you get closer to the lake house, let's see. You can see that there are a few like flower beds outside the garden, outside the lake house, like a sort of little miniature garden. And you see what looks like kind of figures tending to the garden. There's three figures.
Figures that are typical average-sized humanoid?
Yeah, they look kind of like people. Two of them look like you would assume that they would be like maybe older children, like teenage sort of height, or maybe like a short adult. And one of them is sort of taller and kind of like standing back and sort of watching the two of them work.
Tall and thin and gaunt and looks like it's got chainmail on?
No, not like that at all. This kind of looks like he's wearing like just a long coat. It looks like maybe just like a man.
Or maybe like two children stacked.
It could well be two children stacked on top of each other, yeah.
Teddy, they're tending to the garden in our estate. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not sure if they'll have a problem with us, though. What do you think, Teddy?
I don't know. The boatman didn't seem to recognize our authority. I think we should maybe avoid them. Maybe just go around back. See if we can climb in a window or something.
Well, are they obstructing our way straight up? Because if we can go straight through and have them not be disturbed while they're working, that would be great too. So it is an island, so I imagine it's hard to navigate.
There's a little path leading up to the island, leading up to the lake house itself. But they're not on the path, so you could just try walking past them if you wanted. Like I say, there's like a dim light coming from within the lake house.
Okay. Yeah, it's gotta be. Yeah, let's just stick to the path and keep an eye on them.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're going to walk with the authority with which we have.
Yeah. Yep. So you dock up on the little jetty that's there, and you sort of stroll up to the house. As you walk past these sort of gardeners, you can hear them kind of they're breathing very heavily, but they're not talking to each other. You just hear as they're like sort of presumably like pruning flowers or tending to the soil, and the sort of taller figure that stood with his back to you, sort of looking at the two of them working, you can hear a kind of a quiet mumbling coming from him, and he's just watching.
Gardeners.
So you're going to carry on up to the lake house?
Yeah.
So you stroll up to the lake house. It's like I say, there's a light coming from inside. There's sort of a double set of wooden doors at the front, and you're just going to throw them open, are you?
Yeah, with all the authority we have, right? In fact, let's do this TC style. I'll grab one on the left, you grab the one on the right, and we'll count down from 3 and just open that sucker up. And I'm assuming it's a push since it's a door to the outside.
If you're going to assume it's a push and you're going to commit to the push. Right.
So instead of this, I'm doing this.
No, give me a D6 roll to see if it's a push or a pull door.
I mean, it's a door to the inside. It should be a push. It's 2.
2. So you commit hard to the push. And
Ready?
You sort of go into it and you realize it's a pull door. So
I don't know who made this house. This is
I told you this place is weird. You can open the.
This is the weirdest thing right here.
Yeah.
Forget the boatman. Forget the nighttime gardeners. Who the hell makes an entrance door that's a pole? All right.
So you're then going to pull the door open, and inside this lake house, it's a relatively small lake house. So it's basically just like one room. Oh, go on. You're going to pull. Pull.
It's so hard to synchronize with this slight lag.
So you just about managed to synchronize it in the fiction. And
got it.
Tell you what, you can both give me a charisma save to see how good this entrance is.
Fail.
Oh, just barely failed. Rolled a 12.
So
charisma's 11.
Yeah, you managed to synchronize it, but it may not go down very well. So what happens is, as you open the doors, you can see this lake house. It's barely more than like a room, really.
A lake room, great.
A lake room, yeah. It's very nicely decorated. There's a big sort of long dining table in the center of the room, covered with like a lacy, frilly tablecloth. And there's it's actually set for dinner, and there's sort of maybe 8 chairs and table settings around. One side of the the center of the room is kind of lit by these kind of gas lamps, which are sort of casting the light out. But one corner of the room, you can see there's a figure sort of sat in the shadows, and it looks like a woman from here. And as you sort of stroll in, you hear her say, "Oh, I really wasn't expecting company tonight."
Yeah. American accent.
Yeah, you asked me for my authentic South Carolina.
That's what that was. Got it.
Perfect. There we go.
Nice.
I've seen Streetcar Named Desire, you know.
Sure.
So, and you sort of... So she says, like, yeah, I was not expecting company tonight.
Well, I'm going to lead with my entitlement here and pull out the old letter and say, actually, it's not company here for dinner. It's the rightful proprietors of this place. So if anything, you're the guest. What are we eating?
She sort of extends out a gloved hand out of the shadows, expectantly. May I?
I'm going to hold it, but there's no way that I'm going to allow you to touch this and tarnish it.
Look with your eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
You two do not have the appropriate manner for talking to a lady. Now,
Correct.
Do I have to call my boys in here to speak to the two of you and teach you some manners?
How would you like to be addressed, madame?
Lady is fine.
Lady, what are we having for dinner tonight?
And she sort of rises up out of her chair, and you can see she's wearing like a sort of very fine blue dress with a kind of nice kind of turquoise sort of pattern weaved through it, and her face is covered by it looks like a veil, but it's it's in place of sort of where you might have sort of I forget the name of what a veil would be made out of. Whatever material,
lace?
Yeah, like a lace veil. But instead of sort of you might have like white lace, instead there's just sort of these rusty chains hanging down over her face. And she's wearing these sort of like I say, she's wearing like a very fine dress, and she's got these gloves that cover all of her arms as well. And she's sort of
expensive.
It looks extremely expensive, and what's more, she's actually wearing a necklace with quite a prominent necklace with it looks like there's some jewels in there, so that looks like that's probably the more precious item out of the two.
Lady, I love your fashion. The chains are an interesting choice, but the dress, turquoise, it looks magnificent.
Jewels
and
good.
And this table spread is looking really good too. Oh yeah, Teddy, you noticed the jewels too. Yeah, nice jewels as well.
So Cork, you can give me a charisma save to see if you can turn this around. See how she feels about this. This flattery.
Are we like
10 out of 11?
Oh,
pass.
So she seems to be a little bit more appeased now. She's like, "Well, I'm glad that you finally decided to treat me with some dignity. So if you'd return the favor," and she sort of like, she doesn't go to take the letter, but she just kind of puts her hand behind it and tilts it so she can perhaps read it a bit more. And she kind of leans forward, and you just sort of see the chains in the veil are covering her eyes, but she's clearly reading it. She says, there seems to be some kind of misunderstanding. This property has been in my family for many generations, and my sisters and I are still very much the sole proprietors.
Oh. Oh my.
So if you would kindly return to whoever sent you this letter, and perhaps suggest that they update their records.
Now, Teddy, back me up on this. I believe the record said that they're behind on back pay of what was the amount again, Teddy?
£10,000.
I thought it was 15. I thought it was
That's
15.
Right. You know what? Let's call it 13,000, just even.
Teddy, I'm trying to rely on you as a partner, but I don't want to mislead them. It was 15,000. I know the dress is nice. This is a nice property. Very nice for allowing us in here and talking about this financial dispute. But the number is 15,000. I remember very well. So £15,000, and that's what you owe in back pay.
Don't think this is gonna go very well, guys. So she sort of walks around you, sort of ignoring you as you prattle on, and she kind of
perfect timing. Holy cow!
She scared me.
She sort of leans towards the door and shouts, "If I could have some assistance in here, please. I have some unwelcome visitors that I'd like you to remove."
What are you doing, lady? Hey, whoa, hey, we're talking here.
She sort of goes to a cabinet, and she's rummaging around in this cabinet now, and the large figure that you saw earlier, you see him kind of open the door and sort of stoop in, and he's wearing this big long sort of, like I say, a long sort of coat, and you can now see his face, and he's definitely a man, but his face is sort of all swollen and pale and almost blue, and he's just mumbling, and you see that he's got a pitchfork in one hand. So he takes a step in, and then behind him, two smaller figures. Like I say, they're sort of like that. They look like kind of maybe like about the height of like a teenage boy or something, and they sort of shuffle in behind him. And one of them has got a big pair of secateurs, like cutters, and one of them has got a shovel. And they sort of they're just breathing heavily, and they kind of stoop in behind him. What do you do?
Hey, what's going on here? You're shooting the messengers? We're just messengers here. We're in this just as much as you are. We gotta make some clarification. Yeah, what's going on here? Let's be civil.
So you're just trying to sort of talk them down?
Well, I'm talking to her. Yeah, maybe not them, because I'm not sure how well they're able to articulate any form of language. But
so
I'm definitely talking to you.
So the tall guy like sort of holds his pitchfork in one hand and sort of points to the door with his other, and his mumbling gets slightly louder. He's like, and sort of points to the door.
We're walking to the door. What are you going to do there, Teddy?
I said it is a nice door. We like that door as well. We thought it was a push, but it's a pull. You're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Quick question. A little non sequitur here, and I apologize.
Yeah.
Which one of you designed the door? I just want to know who designed the door. Now that Teddy brings up that very important point.
Well,
was this
you can both roll dexterity to see if you're surprised by what happens.
I am.
I rolled a natural 1.
Oof.
Ooh.
Teddy?
Yeah, I'm surprised.
So Teddy won't get a chance to act, but Cork, you can see that this is going to turn hostile, and the large man with the pitchfork is going for Cork, and the two sort of smaller figures are going to be going for Teddy. So Cork, you get a chance to react first. What do you do?
I'm saying, whoa, hey! Gonna try to whip out the harpoon gun. Shoot him.
You shoot the big guy.
Oh, yeah.
Go for it. So that's D8 damage, I believe.
Yeah. Rolling my D8. I'd love to lie to you, but I rolled a 1.
So that's not going to be great. So let me just keep my track here. So yeah, your harpoon sort of blasts out and embeds itself in the very fine door behind this figure, but it sort of barely even grazes this guy. So he is going to come for Cork with a two-handed pitchfork, and he will guess what I've rolled.
1.
No, it's a 6. So that's going to be another scar for you, I believe.
Oh,
because you now have 6 HP, don't you?
Yes.
So 6. So the pitchfork, very similar to where your battle scar was. The pitchfork buries itself into your gut, and you have a punctured organ. So just to let you know what that means, a vital organ is in critical state. If you take critical damage before seeing a specialist, you die. So what that means is, ordinarily when you lose strength from an attack, if you fail that save, you're just dying, and you're on the ground, but you can be rescued.
But right now,
right now, if you take critical damage, you are dead. I think let's say it's a lung. Yeah, you're still up and at 'em, but you feel sort of something in your lung, like sort of as this pitchfork drives into you. But the good news is, if you manage to get this fixed, you will get some more HP. So this could just be another great battle scar for you to have.
Now, any damage will be critical damage to him, right?
Not necessarily, because if you say he takes 3 damage, you would lose 3 points of strength, but then you get to make a strength save. So if you make the save,
strength? It's 11, or is it? No, it's 9.
What's your strength, Cork?
My strength is 9.
Yeah, so
that's not good.
Not amazing. So these two smaller figures, meanwhile, are sort of rushing towards Teddy, and between them, they will do 5 points of damage to you.
All right, so that'll take me past 0, and I'll subtract 1 from my strength, right?
Yes. How many HP? You had 4 HP. Yeah. So you had 1 remaining to come off your strength. So now you have to make a strength save against your new strength score.
All right. I succeed.
Oof.
10 out of 12.
So you still take a nasty wound, but you're still up and fighting for now. I think the one with the sort of the big choppers maybe has sort of narrowly avoided just slicing your hand clean off. You managed to sort of pull away and just bleeding all over the ground a little bit. So now it's the two of you. What do you do?
I think we should scatter. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. I'll just.
They got you in a pretty bad state, I think.
They're between us and the door, right?
Not sort of directly. I reckon you could make a dash for it without any trouble. Yeah, you could because they were trying to get you to leave, so you could certainly run through the door. They might pursue you, but they wouldn't stop you going through the door.
To help distract them, I'm willing to take my empty harpoon gun and say, "Catch!" and throw it at the big man as I'm trying to zip out the door.
To try and distract them. Cool. Mm-hmm. So you flee out into the outside of the lakeside. You're going to try and just run straight to the boat and sort of paddle back to the mainland. So you get back on, and as you're catching your breath, you can give me a D6 roll to see how luck favors you on this journey.
5 out of 6.
5. So luckily, there's no disturbances in the lake. You're able to catch your breath as you're sort of rowing away. You see the lady in the house. You see her kind of gloved hand waving goodbye to you, sort of an elegant wave. And the servants sort of get back to their work in the garden. You manage to row yourself back to the other side of the lake. And you've caught your breath now, so you can get any HP back that you've lost.
And my strength stays reduced.
Your strength stays reduced. To get that fixed, you would need to see a doctor. And in Bastion, there is free healthcare, but it's slow and inconvenient. Or you could pay to get it fixed quickly, but you're not going to be getting that fixed tonight, I would say.
Man, Bastion has a better healthcare system than we do.
So what's the plan?
Okay, so we have a house. We'll deal with the lake room later, though I get the impression that Dress and Jules could have set us up.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that this letter isn't really carrying much weight around here, Teddy.
People don't respect the law like they used to.
No. And I was totally I was on her side. We could have worked something out.
Total gentleman.
Thank you, Teddy. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, I didn't know there'd be so much action. I'm gonna have to tie my hat on in order for this to really get buckled down. Shall we see if there's similar action on the inside of this house, or what?
But I think what people respect more than a letter these days.
Yeah.
An axe.
Axe and
axe questions later.
Yeah, let's do it. Axe questions. You got it.
Let's go.
That's the old saying. Let's do this. So let's go in through the back door.
Back door. So what? You're literally going to go and axe in the back door?
No, wait. This is a 3-story house. Are there any vines or
wisteria?
Climb up? Yeah, we want to
trellises.
That is an excellent question. There was some sort of vines and stuff growing up the outside of the conservatory that you saw on the other side of the house. This back sort of portion of the house is pretty. There's not really anything to climb up that's immediately obvious. But there's the back door, and then if there's a bit of vinery that you could perhaps climb up on the conservatory on the other side of the house.
How does that sound, Cork?
Going straight up to the second story.
Yeah.
Cool.
Surprise.
So you head on over.
I really wanted that necklace, though. Damn.
You head on over to the sort of conservatory type area. And yeah, so you can see it's much like the other windows. It's sort of frosted over completely, so you can't really see in. There's no light or anything coming from inside as well, but you can see there's some kind of plants inside it. So it looks kind of like a greenhouse as much as a conservatory, and there are some vines sort of twisting up the outside of this conservatory. So you could probably quite easily clamber up there and walk on it's a glass ceiling. So I don't want to say that would be amazing, but you could certainly try climbing up there and walking on the glass.
Today I got a bad feeling about this. Should we just go in through the back door straight away, or you want to do this whole vine thing?
No, I think you're right. I think climbing was a mistake. I never liked climbing to begin with.
Well, I mean, I'd be okay with climbing. I don't like climbing onto glass. Yeah, the way this evening's going, can I just say, makes it seem like there's some supernatural bad luck going on. So
I was not expecting any of this. Yeah.
No, this was not a simple snag and grab or whatever you plebeians call it.
Snag and grab. Yep.
The old snag and grab. Yep. So let's go through the back door then.
Let's do it. Is it
sneakily?
Sneakily.
You trudge around back to the back door then, and
trudging for sure.
The back door. Let's see. So the back door, like I say, the good news is that the back door itself is it's whereas every other window has appeared to be frosted over. As you get closer to the back door, you actually feel like a little bit of almost like warm air coming from inside.
Oh.
So you're going to open the back door?
All right.
Put our hand on it. Let's do the 8-point door check. How's the temperature when we put our hands right on the door?
Like warm, not so much unnaturally warm, like a heated house.
Like a heated house? All right. Is there any keyhole, or can we look under the door slat?
There is a keyhole. You look through. There doesn't seem to be any lights on inside. But as you get closer, you get a bit of a smell of like smoke or burning coming from inside.
They're burning our stuff.
We better get in there.
Let's go.
Charging formation. I get behind Teddy, and he charges through the door as I push.
You're gonna push this door, are you?
Well, we're gonna charge in. My hands are on Teddy's back, and we're doing the same thing we did with the ferryman, except this time it's a door instead of the ferryman.
Yep.
So the door is actually unlocked. So yeah, you fling the door open, and a little bit of the kind of light from outside lets you see just enough inside that it appears to be a kitchen. There's like a stove, some sort of work surfaces, but everything has been burnt down, and the room is pretty thick with like the smell of like not so much live smoke, but just like the smell of like what's left over after it's been burnt.
The remnants of a fire.
Yeah. So there's some.
Inside the oven?
So you're gonna go open the stove.
Mm-hmm.
So you sort of you open it up. It's cold, so it's not on. And inside there is like a pile of like burnt wood and like ashes. You're gonna just like stick your hand in there, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to sift through it a little bit.
Teddy, I got an idea, but go on. I'm gonna let you finish doing what you're doing with your examination. But I'm
give me a
thinking
D6.
I'm putting some things together.
Give me a D6 roll, Teddy.
2.
Interesting. So, as you're sort of rummaging around inside it, it's like a gas. It's not a gas stove. It's obviously a log stove, otherwise they wouldn't be burning things. So it's like a log stove, and you sort of notice there's a saucepan on top of the stove still. You just sort of notice it going and moving towards the edge, and then it falls and clatters on the ground.
Teddy, hey, what happened to Stealthy? I mean, I knew we blew it when we busted in here, but don't make matters worse.
And then the back door slams shut, and it is now pitch dark inside here.
I've got my little.
You do have some,
yeah,
and you do have electric lamps, I should say. You haven't needed them to this point, but is one of you going to light up your lamp?
Is there ash in here, like dust?
Yeah. There's kind of a bit of ash everywhere in this room because it looks like a load of stuff's just been burnt.
Okay, so I'm gonna grab a handful of ash and say, "Gork, light it up."
You want me to burn this place down? Is that what you're saying?
Turn on your light.
Oh, you want me to turn on my light?
Yeah.
Okay. I think this place burned down one time, and the reason those people were so fugly is because they were in the fire. But that's just my thought. Remember how the one guy died in the ashes? He wasn't really human? Yeah. There's definitely a fire theme going on. So if you want me to burn this place down, if we don't see anything valuable, you just say the word. But okay, I'll turn on the lamp. And I turn on the electric lamp.
Yep.
I want to throw a handful of dust in the room to see if it smacks like any sort of invisible type things.
So you sort of throw the dust around the room as the light comes on, and the lamp is kind of illuminating most of the room, and the dust kind of falls and settles, and let's see, Cork, as the sort of dust settles, you feel something moving around your ankle.
Hey.
And you look down.
There's something moving around my ankle.
And there's a rusty chain that's kind of wrapping itself around your ankle in sort of slow, almost like stop motion, very stuttery movement. It's kind of wrapping itself around your ankle.
Well, I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to naturally,
just try and shake it away.
Hey, yeah.
Bad chain.
So you sort of shake it away, and then you hear there's I should have said the doors that were out of this room, shouldn't I? There is just a single door that leads out of this room, and then there is also an open like pantry sort of area that's a separate door.
Gotcha.
It's
just like the Pack-and-Act kitchen from the Friday the 13th movie and video game. Keep on going.
So you hear...
Weird that I thought that.
You hear a clattering coming from inside the pantry. You hear like almost like a shelf has just been like ripped down.
Is there a chair in here?
There's some like smashed up bits of furniture. There's not really an intact chair, but there's like what looks like bits of a chair in among the piles of burnt things.
Yeah. Let's leave this room and go through the door.
Yeah, there's nothing valuable in here except moving chains, which are probably valuable, but I'm not sure what the market is for it. So
you head you head out of the door, and it leads into the a room that's actually lit. So the lights are on in this room. And
well, I'm going to save my electric lamp and turn it off then.
You turn it off, and this is as far as you can tell, it appears to be a dining room. And there's a big long table. There is a fireplace along one of the walls, and there is a roaring fire going in this room, in the fireplace, I should say. So the fireplace is roaring away. The table is all set for dinner, and there are sort of 3 big casserole dish sort of style things filled with food in the center of the table. And it's kind of bubbling away this kind of stew in each of these dishes. And there's some silverware, some cutlery, some plates, all.
Does it smell good?
Laid out. It smells good. It smells like a meat casserole or something like that. But in terms of exits, there are 2 other than the door you've just come through. There's a door to the left and a door to the right. And they're both
Are there windows
closed.
to the outside?
No, this appears to be like an internal room, if you like.
Does the silverware look valuable?
Potentially. So if you sort of pocketed the whole lot, it could be worth about £500.
There's got to be a more efficient value to weight ratio that we're seeking.
Yeah, it'd be bulky, I think, if you're going to take this whole set of silverware.
Because I see the mental calculations going on in your head right now. What is a silver worth? And I'm with you. It's probably not worth it. Although, I am curious as to what's under these casserole dishes. Shall I take a look?
Please do. I'm going to stand guard.
I'm going to take lid off of one of the casserole dishes.
As you sort of touch the lid, straight away, it's burning hot. So you just sort of immediately, you reflex, sort of instinctively let go. It is red hot, it's just come out of the oven.
Hot.
I'm gonna knock the top of the casserole dish off with my 10-foot wick pole.
Yeah, so you sort of hook one of the lids off this casserole dish, and there's some kind of casserole or stew inside, but it's bubbling like you've left it on a high heat for too long. It's viciously bubbling, and bits of it spitting over, and it's just there's steam coming off it. It looks like it's burning hot.
Yeah,
it's like this house wants to burn down. Teddy. Yeah.
Yep.
Too hot to eat.
So hot it burned down the house.
Mm-hmm.
Tales old
Classic story, as old as time.
Let's go through the door on the right.
You're going to go through there, yeah? So to the right. So this door to the right takes you into sort of a little corridor, and it sort of turns right on itself again, and you can see it sort of leads into a room that is just filled with plants, sort of overgrown plants stretching all around this room, house plants. And you can see that this is presumably the conservatory that you could see from the outside, because you got a kind of glass ceiling and glass walls, and the plants are sort of so overgrown they're kind of pressing against the glass. And in the center of the room, in between all of the plants, is, bear with me, is a polar bear stuffed. So a stuffed sort of dead, full-size polar bear, sort of surrounded by these plants. And there is, as far as you can tell, there's just there's just one other way out on the other side of all these sort of overgrown plants. There's another sort of doorway.
How much do you think a stuffed polar bear is worth?
We gotta think also, how are we gonna transport the polar bear? So I don't know.
To the right buyer, it's probably £1,000. but it's going to require both of you to like. It's a huge, even for a polar bear. It's sort of mounted upright, one paw up. It's doing like a roar, tongue hanging out.
I get what the homeowners were going for. It's pretty clever decor, and the juxtaposition of the polar in with the greenhouse. Mm-hmm. Those two don't mix, so I get it. That's interesting. Anything of value in here? Does any of our botany skills detect an oh-so-rare plant that could sell for anything?
So the plants themselves are just kind of in regular old pots, and they just look like normal houseplants, but they look like they've just sort of been growing voraciously.
I don't like that.
Nothing that looks valuable.
And I'm assuming the other door leads outside?
No. The other door seems to lead into another room.
Oh. Well, do we go back into the dining room and go left instead of the right door?
Yes. Yeah.
Or do we go through these growing...
I don't trust plants anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to kind of like go through them, like not quite with a machete, but you'd have to like.
No, sir.
No, let's go back. Let's go back to the dining room.
Mm-hmm. So you head on back to the dining room, and the
always standing behind Teddy.
The casserole that you've sort of opened up is still absolutely like bubbling away and like spitting, and the fire is roaring. Yeah, you're gonna head out of the other door.
Overcooked, didn't it?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to knock this thing over because I'm not seeing anything of value. All I see are pains in my ass, Teddy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if I can't have it, you know who can have it, Teddy? And if you can't have it, Teddy, you know who can have it?
Nobody.
Mm-hmm. Nobody. So you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Loot and scoot.
Yep.
So the building, the next room that you go into, you sort of open it and you're met with, especially in contrast to the very warm room that you're in, you're met with like a blast of cool air as you open the door. And this looks like it's a room that stretches out like almost like as much a long corridor as a room. And the little section that you're in now, it's like I say, it looks like this whole section is like a library. So there are like some bookshelves on the walls, nice tasteful low lighting, and the sort of you get the smell of kind of like leather book covers and old dusty books. But in this particular section of the library, there's sort of like a long table alongside one of the bookshelves, and there are three. They look like big blocks of ice, about the size of let me think how to describe this. It's because Alan and Sean can't see my feed, so I'm doing a very helpful guide to how big they are. About the size of a basketball, maybe slightly longer than a basketball. And it looks like just chunks of ice, and each of them is kind of mounted on a stand on this table. And and so this sort of library stretches out to the left of you. And there is a doorway off to the right that's closed off. So you can go sort of left deeper into the library bookshelves, or right through a door, or you can look at these kind of chunks of ice that are mounted here.
Yeah, let's look at these ice chunks.
Agreed. Yeah.
So you get close to them and you can hear sort of like almost like muffled screams.
Like ice on metal? Oh wow.
Yeah,
I think there might be people in these ice blocks.
Mm-hmm. Let's knock him on the floor with a stick.
Yeah, you're reading my mind, Teddy.
Which one?
Let's do the middle.
Hey, Teddy, let's make a game out of this.
Okay.
You pick one, I pick one. Simultaneous. Do it wrong, do it strong.
1, 2, 3. Left, middle, right.
I don't care which one you pick, but I just want to make sure we simultaneously break these things.
Oh, I see. All right. 1, 2, 3. Middle.
Oh, right. Sure. I just meant we want to... Yes. Good.
Oh, you want to do it at the same time. I see.
Yes. That's...
I asked you two to come on this first actual play because I thought you'd be so well coordinated.
So did I. So did I. So did I.
So yeah, you the middle one and the right one
apparently
are kind of you kind of drag them and sort of smash them onto the ground.
I'm poking it with my long stick hook.
I mean, it kind of breaks quite easily as they hit the floor. So there's one of them breaks and there's like fragments of ice all over the place. And inside, there's what looks like a head kind of rolls out from amongst the ice. And same on the other one. And it's kind of it looks kind of like a bust, like a stone head. But kind of more fleshy, but not quite. There's no like sign of blood or anything. And its eyes are just like pure white, like a sort of statue's eyes. But they're both just screaming manically, and then they sort of realize where they are, and they're sort of facing each other, so they kind of look at each other, and they both start to chant something.
Gag them. Gotta gag them with some book pages. Grab a book, pages.
No.
Gagging that.
So you're grabbing and gagging one of them?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a dexterity save, please.
I rolled an 18.
So
my dexterity is not an 18. Yeah.
Teddy, what were you doing? Were you grabbing the other one, or were you just in shock?
Yeah, I'm gonna knock the other one off too.
I'll break the third one.
Oh yeah.
So as Cork, you try and sort of muzzle it. It kind of like starts biting your fingers, and you kind of drop it to the ground, and it kind of like rolls itself back towards the three. And as they sort of realize they're all free, you hear them say, "Yes, yes, yes." And they're sort of chanting something that you don't recognize. And you hear the sound of rushing water sort of around you.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I want to kind of slap one on the face and be like, "Hey, where are the valuables?"
You sort of slap it.
I think they are the valuables, Teddy.
It's not responding to it. You feel sort of like your feet slightly sinking in the ground, like the ground's quite soft.
Uh-oh.
Is that all? Both of us?
Yeah, both of you. Almost like it's like almost like you're walking on bog, but it's like it's carpet, obviously. And you sort of see sort of murky water kind of rising up through the carpet of the floor.
I want to climb on the table.
I've got a stick hook to help me. Yeah, I'll get on the table with Teddy.
You're both going to get on that table that was holding the ice things. So that as the sort of the water comes up and sort of partially submerges the heads, you just hear them like yes, 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 and they sort of drop under the water as it kind of rises up, and the water starts like whipping up a surf, almost like foaming, and this huge figure starts to rise out of the water, and it's sort of humanoid-ish. And it sort of, as it rises up, it's got these kind of like almost like an exoskeleton around it, like a kind of chitinous body. Its head is covered in sort of long weeds, and you can't make out a face on it. There's kind of this mossy patches all over its body, and it's holding in its arms a long sort of spear type thing. But the end is sort of like almost like a two-pronged trident sort of thing. Two-pronged trident thing.
So wish.
And it sort of immediately looks to, let's see, who does it like? It likes the look of Teddy. And you see it sort of it sort of lifts its sort of two-pronged fork as if it's trying to like rest it on top of your head. What do you do?
Two-pronged fork. He wants to rest it on my head.
Well, it's kind of like a well, you know what, you Alan, when I was on your podcast, we were talking about Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
Oh yeah.
So if you're familiar with a man catcher, it's kind of like a sort of what's the word I'm trying to say? Almost like a collar, like an open collar that could perhaps slip around your neck.
Yeah, no, I don't want that. That's not good.
So it's trying to sort of slip it over.
You seem like a dog catcher and how they have those devices. It's like that, but meant for people.
And much more sturdy and metal and spiky, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Teddy, it's trying to do that to you. What are you going to do about that?
I'm going to jump off the table and swim into the water. I'm going to dive into the water stuff.
And try and just swim away? Mm-hmm. Which way? Towards the door or deeper into the library?
Definitely towards the door.
Okay. We'll deal with that in a second. Cork, what are you going to do while this is happening?
I'm going to take a swig of my oh-so-magical draft. What is it called?
Your wish tonic.
My wish tonic. Yeah. I'm going to pop that cork.
Yeah.
Take a glug. Mm-hmm. And make my wish.
What was your wish?
I wish that all of this water hazard and opponents right now aren't there. And I want to time it just enough so that when Sean takes a dive off the table, he hits the floor.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping for.
That's what I'm really hoping for.
Yep. So, sure enough, you take a swig of this tonic, and it's a very bitter, bracing tonic. You sort of feel, you feel the hit straight away, and you sort of you feel reality shifting around you as your body shifts to accept this horrible drink. And Teddy, you slam face first into the ground. You didn't wish for this horrible thing to be gone, did you?
Yeah, I said it just for the room to be totally empty of everything, the water.
The opponents.
I'm not going to be a dick about the wish wording. I will allow that. So yeah, the library is now as it was, and I have rolled, so I know how long it's going to stay this way before the wish tonic wears off. So what are you going to do in the meantime?
Let's head out of here. Yeah, Teddy?
Do you want to go deeper into the library or back the way we came?
Let's go deeper into the library.
All right, let's roll.
Meanwhile, the heads on the ground are just chanting, "No, no, no, no." And as you sort of run towards, you did say to the door, didn't you?
To whatever is
into the library.
Oh, into the library. Mm-hmm. So you sort of head into the library, and you sort of it's like I say, it's a long old corridor type room. There's no doorways between the sections here. But the next section is just full of towering bookshelves. As you sort of glance at the books as you go by, there's all sorts of weird esoteric subject of books. And you can see at the end of this kind of row of bookshelves, there's some of the bookshelves have been like tipped over into a kind of into a pile in the center of the next sort of section. And they've actually been burnt. It looks like someone's tried to burn a giant pile of bookshelves here, but they don't look fully burnt. There's just like sections of it that are burnt up. Are you going to carry on running, or are you going to stop and investigate?
I want to take a quick leaf through what books were trying to be burned.
Yeah. So the books themselves, as you kind of reach in to take one, that they all just look. It looks like an almost random selection. There's like encyclopedias. There's like atlases. There's some like fiction in there as well. It doesn't seem to be a pattern, but as you kind of dig through, you notice underneath the pile of books you see a hand sticking out, and as you sort of pull out another, you can see it looks like there's at least two bodies underneath all of the books.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get one of these bodies out. But if they're missing heads, we'll go reattack.
Cork, your wish tonic is still good. You can still feel it inside you, but you can feel it starting to fade. So you're gonna like you pull out a few books and you pull out one of the bodies, and it's the body of a young man, wearing sort of relatively typical clothes. they don't look especially finely dressed, maybe dressed like a servant of the house, and they're obviously dead. And you can see there's all down one arm is like the sleeve has been ripped off, and there's sort of like bite marks all over the arm, and one side of his sort of shirt is just like covered in blood, which you would assume would be the cause of death.
This is fresh-ish?
Not super fresh. Maybe like 12 hours.
Okay.
Relatively fresh, yeah.
But it's not like their death is the reason for this haunting stuff here.
And just so you know, the wish tonic has now worn off. So you hear the sound of rushing water back in the direction that you fled from. And you hear the faint sound of the heads chanting, "Yes, yes, yes."
Heads. Should we run?
Is there a window? What are our exit options here?
There's no windows at the moment. Your only option is back the way you came or deeper into the library. In fact, you can see, the library does branch off in two directions ahead of you. One of them is just a passageway that leads into presumably more of the library, but you can just about make out in there. There is some sort of like, it looks like a fish tank or something, like some kind of glass water tank in there. And in the other direction, there is actually a door, like quite a hefty wooden door blocking the other direction.
Teddy?
The room with the door?
You gonna go for the door?
I'm starting to be skeptical that there's anything valuable in here except that necklace. I'm ready to chalk it up as a loss and go with our plan. Should we initiate Plan Zeta?
Okay, yeah. How do you want to do that?
All right. I'm going to take a second draft of my potion, please.
Yeah.
And I wish, as I tell Teddy, get on my back. Get on my back, Teddy. Teddy, get on my back. Okay, it's on my back. I wish I was a dragon the size of 100 meters tall.
Okay. Teddy, you're going to get onto the back of Cork. Mm-hmm. As you sort of feel his body start to swell.
Ooh.
I said that I wouldn't be a dick about these wishes, but I am going to be a little bit of a dick about this, because as you sort of feel his body rise up, you sort of are pressed up against the ceiling, and you will take 6 points of damage for that.
That's nice. Fair.
Mm-hmm. So how's that going to affect you, Teddy?
So I'm going to go down to 10 strength, and I think make a save. 13 out of 10.
So
I fail.
You sort of, in the sort of the rush of like growing up, you sort of like smash Teddy into a bit of chimney or something as you kind of rip up through the house, and Teddy sort of falls into the rubble, and you are indeed a gigantic dragon for a little while. And what is your plan?
I'm gonna start. First, I'd like to see if I can get Teddy out of the rubble. But if that's not taking a lot of time, I also want to just start blowing fire as far as I can in this property.
Yeah, so you can kind of scoop Teddy up in your claw and like stick him on your back. He's probably like just conscious enough to like hold on.
Sweet.
And yeah, you're going to start breathing fire, on just the whole property?
Whole property, and if I have time to, based on how buzzed I feel, I definitely want to burn that lake house down too.
So, you just sort of, you start breathing fire all over the property. The house sort of blazes up. Go over to the lake house, fill it with fire. It sort of blasts to pieces. You see like a few like figures sort of writhing in the fire. From within the rubble of the house, you can hear, "No, no, no," being shouted. And then just as the tonic starts to wear off, you probably have time for one last thing if you wanted to do one last thing before it wears off.
Oh man, one last thing. It's probably
Land.
get out of there and get to safety. Yeah. So
Right.
I probably would just want to
Leap over the
get to
gates.
safety. Yeah, go to the gate. Go to the side of the gate.
So you sort of vault over the gate, flapping your wings kind of awkwardly, just as you kind of shift back into your human form, and you sort of collapse into a pile on the ground with Teddy on top of you. And you stand in front of the smouldering ruins of your precious property. And I believe that is quite a perfect example of a typical Electric Bastionland session, because I think all you did was use up your resources and get nothing in return, except you got battle scars and a punctured lung.
And we still have one wish. We can go with what Teddy's plan was at the very beginning. Save that one last wish in the back pocket to just see if we can get our debt forgiven in writing.
It only lasts as long as the bracing kick of the liquor.
Right, but the contract that he signs while under the spell.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I will leave that as a cliffhanger, and
that's our next mission.
You
Teddy.
can decide your own fiction whether or not that works.
Headcanon.
So yeah, well done. You destroyed the entire dungeon.
Great.
Thank you very much.
I feel good about
playing.
it. I feel good.
Yeah.
We gave it a try. We came in with good attitudes. They didn't abide. I'm going to sleep well tonight, Teddy. I'm going to sleep well tonight.
I mean, when I give you wishes as a starting piece of equipment, I should really be prepared for this kind of thing happening.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
It's like the best starting item you could have in a fantasy game. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, I think that's we can call that a night there.
I loved it.
Thanks for playing.
Thank you so much, Chris.
I'm not sure whether
so much fun.
Chris.
Yeah, I had fun there. It was. I don't want to give too much away about what was in this place, but you definitely took an interesting route.
Yeah.
Both in and out.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully that, at least for the people watching, gives you an idea of the sort of thing you can do with Electric Bastionland. So yeah, thanks for playing, guys.
Thanks for having us. A lot of fun. I really loved it. Yeah.
Love the threads of thought that were happening. Why is one room cold? What the heck's going on with the stew?
The monsters were spooky. And not you're so used to D&D monsters, right? And just them being this kind of Dickensian, everybody's got this Jacob Marley or faded Southern Gothic thing going on. It was great. I loved it.
That accent was purely on your request to have an American accent in there.
It worked perfectly.
Yeah, probably better than my English. So
yeah, I actually wrote this one. I wrote this dungeon ages ago I was meant to run it on Halloween for some people. So it's my attempt at a kind of a haunted house. And what I wanted to show was there's a lot of, whenever I see actual play videos, there's a lot of sort of ultra slick professional stuff, which obviously this is not. But also just that with Electric Bastionland, if you want to do something that isn't, because there's not really many mentions of ghosts and stuff in the book, but if you want to do it, you can do it. It's left very open for you to sort of put these things in. And yeah, you don't need to have
very Bastionlandy haunted houses, particularly just old properties that were wealthy and now are nothing, and that seems crazy, Bastionland to me.
It still fits, and yeah, and you know, and also just to show people that I hear a lot of people asking about playing online, and it's oh, you need to have Roll20 integration and stuff, but no, if you got some dice and some paper, and you can do a call, you can play online. So.
Particularly Bastionland, this is my character sheet.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I've got me marking off the hit points there and my strength, and then I have a tiny little map where we were. You do not need a lot. I think Bastionland works online better than a lot of games because there's so little to keep track of.
Yeah, and I was just making it up really in terms of the rules.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we will leave it there. I'm going to end the stream shortly, but just before I do, I can't not call you Teddy and Cork now. I've forgotten how to call you by your real names. So Sean and Alan, did you have anything that you wanted to plug or advertise shamelessly before we finish?
Gradient Descent is still up for pre-order at mothershiprpg.com.
Oh.
We're working on a charity book right now called Dissident Whispers, which is a bunch of dungeons. Chris, you're working on it too, right?
Yeah.
Mothership, Bastionland, D&D, Troika, Morkborg, a lot of great creators are working on it. It's a collaborative group effort to help with Black Lives Matter, and that should be coming out pretty soon, probably only a few days after this video goes up, maybe about a week from now. This was live, obviously, but whenever your people in the future are watching.
Yeah.
Now,
awesome.
What do you think?
Yeah, nailed it. Don't forget, we've got a Mothership Discord as well. You can check out that and follow us on Kickstarter, or you can go to our website, TuesdayNightGames.com, and that is a hub where you can find everything that we're doing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I don't have a better sign-off, so we're going to end it there, and I'm going to say thank you very much and goodbye.